Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside Sources. But first, here is my take for today entitled Some Things You Didn't Hear or See at the APC Convention. So, the All Progressive Congress, the ruling party, almost hijacked Abuja over the weekend with this very packed convention. And you must concede that it was a show of power, a show of reach, and some political glamour. The party itself looks like it's soaring to a predictable victory next year in the general elections. But there are quite a few things you didn't see as the APC convention was taking place last Friday here in Abuja. No one, for instance, came out to explain the cost of that glamorous political gathering, not in terms of the whole ecosystem in the FCT. That must be a good thing for the local economy. But I'm talking about how much was spent by the powers that be to organize the convention itself. Some insider accounts put the budget at about a staggering 30 billion naira. Yes, wow! You didn't see a recall, for instance, of the president's own promise and vow to the Nigerian people about 4 years ago that he will solve the problem of electricity in Nigeria.
You must have electricity, and you will not pay for estimated bill anymore. A promise made will be a promise kept. If I can't keep the promise and I come back for second term, don't vote for me.
The president has roughly 9 months more to show all of us Nigerians the real renewed hope on that his particular vow about electricity and other promises that he gave us freely in 2022. By far the most compelling things you didn't see or hear during the APC convention is the rumblings in the north about the party and about its presidential designs next year for the election. I know the leader of the party, that is the president himself. I know him enough to say that, as the Yorubas put it, "Ìgbẹ̀yìn ni aláyò ń ta," literally meaning the master player shows his skills towards the end of the game, or better still, let's put it in an English idiom, you save the best for the last. But the interim, this is what we know. An example of what you didn't see, that anybody didn't speak about at the convention, is the Kano politics that is shaping out before our very eyes. A big drama. Nasir Yusuf Gawuna seems set to join Kwakwanso in a new alliance. Recall that Kwakwanso, the Governor General in Kano, produced Abari Yusuf, who defeated that same Gawuna, who was the APC gubernatorial candidate in 2023 in Kano State. So, what is happening is that while the APC has grabbed Abari Yusuf from Kwakwanso, Kwakwanso is in turn grabbing Gawuna from APC. Such a high drama. What more didn't we hear? Let's still stay on Kano. No one at the APC convention spoke about the claims that the new catch of the party, Governor Abari Yusuf, we're still talking about Kano, who defected from the Kwakwanso party, is unable, according to sources, to mobilize enough party organizers and trusted people to form the core of the new APC structure, which Abba has been given 60% off. So the president said, for the new APC structure, now that Abba has joined, Abba gets 60%. The others, including Umar Ganduje, the former governor of the state and former chairman of APC, and Barau Jibrin, the deputy senate president, they should share the balance of the 40%. So it was a 60-40%. But even Governor Haba's own deputy governor chose to resign from the job rather than follow Governor Haba to APC. So because Governor Garba can't put up enough people to help him form the new APC structure in Kano, the 60-40 sharing formula that the president instructed is now being revised. According to knowledgeable sources, this is what is happening. Isn't that interesting? But you won't hear that at the convention. And so APC got Governor Abari, but let's see how much weight Governor Garba can put up for the party all by himself without resorting to the Kwankwansiya movement in Kano. Well, I guess the president just wants a good fighting chance in Kano. Anyways, I don't think he's thinking of winning Kano. But no one told us about that during the APC convention. It was all mom. What else were we told? It is still more from the north. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa was being accused of holding a secret meeting with Atiku Abubakar of the ADC, the former vice president, in Saudi Arabia. Now, that news was unconfirmed that he had a meeting with Atiku and that Governor Sule said that he gave Atiku the commitment to support him next year. Now, Atiku and Sule have some history. I know that. But I also know Governor Sule, and I know him very well enough to say that if Sule tells you, I am with you, that is exactly what Sule will do. So I don't believe that report. And good thing, Sule's media team has also debunked that story. But here is the real teaser. There are a few northern governors who are thinking very hard about jumping off the APC ship. But today on Inside Sources, let us report to you that there are at least 3 governors in the Northeast who are loudly complaining about what has become of their party. And as we are moving along to 2027, it seems unlikely that those 3 governors at least will keep faith with APC as things stand today. And if it happens, when it happens, we know that it won't be new in Nigeria's politics. Also, in the Northwest, there are 2 former governors who are heavily disgruntled, and a sitting governor who is fighting with the APC senators in his state in what might create some serious political tension for the plan of the party to do presidential elections and win the state next year. Let's go on. What else didn't you hear? Now, generally, some key political figures in the Northwest are not delighted about the significant attrition of northern gladiators away from the APC and away from the favor of the federal government, especially from the PAC, that is the people that backed the president in 2023. Not that these people have, all of them left the party or entirely isolated, but clearly they are falling out of favor as we speak. People like Nasir El-Rufai, who has left, he was with the president in 2023. Umar Ganduje, who hasn't left, is a bit disgruntled. Mohammed Badaru, the former governor of Jigawa State, who was also the former minister for defense, is not very happy with the president or with the party. Now, there are those who say those who are the northern faces of the president, that is President Tinubu, in the Northwest today, don't command the kind of respect, regard, and appeal of those 3 people. That is Rufai, El-Rufai, Ganduje, and Badaru. People are saying that the people that are representing the president in the Northwest don't have the kind of respect and regard and capacity that those 3 had. Of course, you didn't hear that kind of discussion at the APC convention. But like Barrister Ishmael Ahmed, the chairman of CNG, said at the convention, he was one of the MCs, there are now 16 of the 17 northern governors with the ruling APC. And that perhaps may explain why all this so-called northern rumbling is not being treated as a big enough problem to warrant concern or any kind of discussion at that level. After all, Like we said earlier, ìgbẹ̀yìn ni aláyò ń ta. Normally, the game player keeps the best for the last. We will find out. And there you have it. Inside Sources goes full blast right after this. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I'm leading the show with a conversation that looks at what is happening in the North in terms of the security, some of the political dimensions, and of course, interesting developments around the recently concluded APC National Convention here in Abuja. To join me in that important conversation, I have the former Director General of the National Orientation Agency. He was there between 2015 and 2023. A political scientist, a former university teacher, an APC chieftain, and currently the spokesperson of Arewa Discussion Group, who made a very important statement on the security situation in Nigeria, which is where we're going to start. So I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources, Dr. Garba Abari. My brother, good to see you on Inside Sources again.
Good to see you. Very good afternoon.
Thank you so much. So I want to start from this statement that you signed as the spokesperson of the Arewa Discussion Group on the 18th of March. I read the statement, very comprehensive, you know, and for the benefit of our audience, I'm just going to highlight some of the things that you said in that statement, your group said, and then we'll take, we talk about it. You condemn the wave of terror, you know, across northern Nigeria, and you allege that there is a plot, you know, to subvert the 2027 elections. You referenced Zamfara worshippers attack, Kebbi mosque attack, February 25, Zamfara worshippers attack, February 20, all the attacks, recent attacks in Borno, escalating violence in entire northern Nigeria, and you made references to Bauchi, to Benue, to Plateau, to Kwara, to Niger. The statement even talks about the fact that about 500,000 people from Niger State are displaced. A very detailed statement. So I want you to give our audience just a summary of, you know, of that statement and why you guys in the Arewa Discussion Group felt compelled to issue it.
Well, thank you very much, Laul. That statement that was issued, signed by me on behalf of the Arewa Discussion Group, actually captures the entire gamut of security challenges that Nigeria is facing, but basically security challenges that northern Nigeria is facing. It's not a statement that was issued out of hearsay or general observances, but a statement issued on the strength of factual happenings across northern Nigeria.
You know, like I said, I went through that statement very comprehensively, and it touches quite a lot of, you know, other situations, you know, violence. Like I said, mention specific states and communities within the states, including Kebbi, Sokoto, and Adamawa, besides, you know, Kwara and Borno and Benue and Plateau. Now, the statement also said that there is a secret plot, you know, and I want you to give us a little bit of that. Who do you think are the ones people, the people behind that plot to subvert the 2027 elections?
We were not categoric as to who are actually plotting to subvert the political process. But what we are saying is a situation such as the time we are witness could lead to how the entire the transition process will be impacted. Then we call on government to ensure that it makes deep investigation to find out the reason behind this escalated incidences of insecurity and reassure Nigerians that there indeed are no hidden agenda behind certain by some unscrupulous elements to subvert the democratic process. Otherwise, for nearly 10 years, we in Borno had forgotten about bomb blasts. And all of a sudden, at the wee hours of the Ramadan fast, the end of Ramadan,
Right.
we witnessed 3 simultaneous bomb explosions in the city of Maiduguri. We saw the ambush on security personnel at different points in Borno and Yobe. We saw now recently ambush. Even before the one in Kebbi, ambush in the plateau where about 20 security personnel were killed. Now, even in a war situation, we are saying, you suffer such kind of losses. Such actually is an issue that will give you enough reason, enough concern as to warrant deeper investigation and ensuring that we get to the root causes of this problem. We are not saying that government is not doing much, but we say government needs to do more and ensure that all the incidences that we have highlighted, all of them that we have highlighted, actually a common string tends to pass through them all. And the end result, if care is not taken, is the truncation of a smooth transition process or a situation where the entire electoral processes that are already in place will be so negatively impacted.
Okay. So, Dr. Abari, it's interesting, some of the detailed analysis of the situation, especially in northern Nigeria, that you have articulated, both in the speech and even here. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oluyede, says that, oh, well, look, these people, these terrorists, they are Nigerians, after all. And he invoked the story of the prodigal son in the Bible to say that, well, if they are willing, that they should be rehabilitated. A lot of people have said that, look, that is not what we are talking about now, nor should that be the narrative from the most senior military officer in Nigeria. What's your reaction to that? In the light of...
Actually, the Chief of Defense Staff had made 2 statements that caught my attention in the recent past. The first is when he said, the people of Borno and Yobe must have to own up to
that too.
This crisis. And that unless these communities actually own the fight, the security agencies will find it very difficult to take the fight to utmost conclusion. Now, that could be true, but only to an extent. To what extent? It's true that the insurgents are Nigerians, not all of them. There are quite a number that are from across our borders, from our neighboring countries. In fact, some alleged from as far as Algeria and Mauritania, some up from Libya, up into the country, and then the entire Sahel zone. That's one. So the communities that the Chief of Defense Staff might be addressing are the communities in Borno and Yobe who are actually serving as the epicenter of the crisis. The most they could do is to give intelligence. But there are also other issues. What happens to the use of technology, for example, to target the movement of these people? What happens to the use of technology to intercept their communication and their communication networks? What happened to the use of technology to guide our borders? What happened to the use of technology to do actually all the things that need to be done, all the things that need to be done in order to cut cost, enhance precision, you know, and bring these challenges to the very end? You can only ask the communities to help with local intelligence when the people see the bandits or the insurgents passing across them. But even at that, because the state has already failed in both its productive and allocative purposes, these people tend to find succor in the false protection that they get from these bandits or from the insurgents or whatever, than from the state. So this is one. The second issue, the statement made by the Chief of Defense Staff is about, I think, the Operation Safe Corridor, where repentant Boko Haram were being trained, under various forms of skill acquisition in Malam City in Gombe State. True. But there are indeed those who have been radicalized and have been remobilized and integrated back into the communities. There are a few that have become the proverbial prodigal sons and have gone to join the bandits. Reason is because there is attraction, monetary. There is attraction in the very dangerous psychological and ideological indoctrination that had gone into the minds of these demobilized insurgents. And then thirdly,
before they were demobilized.
And then thirdly is the fact that this ideological indoctrination and the wrong notion of the faith that has been inculcated into their heads and into their minds actually
erroneously,
yeah, actually has now come to enforce or reinforce the reasons why they go back to these heinous activities, you know, that's causing the problem. Now, in both cases, it is the case of the chicken and the egg. Which one actually do you do? If you insist that the communities must have to own up, there is a limit to which they can own up. Otherwise, you will just give the victims to be the victims are now the culprits. It is like throwing it back to the victims who are now being seen as culprits for not giving sufficient intelligence to the security agencies. Now, what I'm saying is there is a limit, because in many of the communities that we have highlighted in our statement, in many of these communities, there is some form of pseudo-protection that bandits and the insurgents are providing for these people. What does that indicate? Failure of state authority.
Yeah, and which is the point that I wanted you to also address. Are we in a situation that we should be talking of rehabilitating some of these people that are, especially their commanders, that are so neck deep in this level of violence? Is that a kind of narrative? You know, I mean, I find that narrative a little bit off. You know, at a time like that your statement make a comprehensive, including the attack and the destruction of military bases.
That's true.
The killing, the death, the murder, heinous murders of serving officers and men of the armed forces.
When we are talking about the erosion of state security, that is state authority, that is precisely the point we are making. That the state is failing. In fact, the state has failed in terms of its protective functions. Where the state itself now is also, because it has not, what does the state stand for? What distinguishes the state from the rest of is the fact that it has absolute control of coercive power.
Yeah.
Now the state coercive power is being challenged.
Yeah.
The state coercive power is being contested.
There's no monopoly
the state
of
coercive power is being contested. By non-state actors. Usually we used to call them ragtag. They are no longer ragtag.
Yeah.
They are no longer ragtag. So when these people will go on rampage and they ambush our security agencies with such a wanton abandon, then definitely the state has some questions to answer. Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, so let's move along, but still on that, another issue that I noticed in your statement, you said that it's like the region is under siege, that the state that the state is forced to negotiate with bandits in many of the states, that state governments have been forced to negotiate with bandits, and that you also referred to ethnic cleansing going on in specific places. The statement mentioned that this is in Kebbi, Kwara, Kogi, Kaduna, and FCT. So Dr. Abari, I want you to talk in a little bit more detail about those two things. Tell me more about what you guys think is happening regarding ethnic cleansing, and also, that idea that state governments, in your view, according to the statement, have been forced to how to negotiate with bandits.
Still the point where I'm making, that we are witnessing definitive erosion of state power and state authority. That's one. Two, the monopoly of coercive power that distinguishes the state and makes it sole monopolizer of coercive instruments are no longer there. Now, many state governments will tell you, we are not going to negotiate with bandits. The only thing we are going to do with bandits is to get them off our environment, and where we come into contact with them, we kill them. Or we apprehend them and make them face the law. That is the generic statement coming from all of these subnationals. But communities in the local governments that hardly have access to even their local government headquarters, talk less of the cities, the state capitals, do actually know that they pay taxes to bandits.
Wow.
They do some sharecropping with bandits in return for protection. In return for protection. This is not hearsay. This is real. It's happening in many places, and even the state governors themselves know this. That's one. Two, coming to the issue of ethnic cleansing. Targeted killings. You target a particular area and consistently attack it. When you target, it is no longer random. And it is happening in many areas, in Kogi, in Plateau, in Niger, and the parts of Borno. So this is what we are seeing, that there is actually a need to ensure that there is no any underhand plan by unscrupulous forces
Right.
to undermine our internal security, to undermine the democratic process, and to undermine the transition that is barely 9-10 months ago. Away.
Excellent, excellent. So I have to ask you then this follow-up question. Do you then think, or what's your own take on the question of genocide? Especially in places like Plateau and Benue. In Plateau, the governor, Mufwang, while he was in PDP, I don't know whether he has changed his opinion now, but he came out openly, said that, hey, there's genocide in Plateau State. The governor made that declaration. When the president went to Benue, the tall chief, in the presence of the president, made the statement that genocide is going on. Now, your statement has said that there is ethnic cleansing in Kebbi, Kwara, Kogi, Kaduna, and FCT. What do you think about the argument on the question of genocide?
Probably genocide is a bit a heavy concept to call what we are witnessing in other areas. But the ones that I could remember the Tortip spoke about was actually a case of targeted killings, which he said were done by non-Nigerians.
Yeah.
By non-Nigerians.
Yeah.
So it's I do not know whether it has happened or anything has changed from the time the Tortip spoke and the time Governor Mutwang also spoke.
But different
But
states.
the issue is there is a deep incidence. There are deep incidences of insecurity leading to massive destruction of lives and property. Whether you call it ethnic cleansing, whether you call it genocide, the North is under siege.
And I agree entirely. As a matter of fact, that has always been my own conclusion also. That look, the people who are being impacted can explain that, look, this is what they are doing to us. You can't deny their stories. But what we should be interested in is that these are Nigerians.
Yes.
Whatever it is, and these are killings, despicable killings that is going on in the country that government ought to stop.
If you see the records by those who keep the records and by some of the itinerant researchers about the number of lives that have been lost from January to now, even in an international war, in a war between nations, you say we have lost this number of citizens. It's enough. A reason for concern.
And
what less of internal security challenges.
You served under an APC government just like myself. About the same time, you are a politician and I'm not.
We both are. Don't tell me.
Well, we both served. I'm just kidding. But we served. You were very active in the change campaign. I know that you are part of the policy committee and were very active in developing the narratives that gave APC victory in 2015, and then eventually you became the DG. I served in the presidency as a spokesperson. I don't feel very good at all, Dr. Abari, about the fact that this situation, after 2 terms, and half a term at least, after 10 years of APC's government, I am personally embarrassed, Dr. Abari, I must say that we are still struggling with the situation. And Nigerians have given us, more than we deserve as, APC, essentially. And, I can't extricate myself. Aren't you also worried about this thing, Dr. Abari?
I am very worried. I am very, very worried. For 2 reasons. We have failed to consolidate on our victory. That's one. We have failed to consolidate on our victory. So the successes that we recorded, before our very eyes, we saw them being eroded. I don't know. Don't ask me why such successes were being eroded.
I won't ask
but
you.
they are being eroded before our very eyes.
But that's the fact.
2, we have a political party that does not seem to be in sync with government. And therefore, what the party initially was conceived to be, what the party initially was conceived to be, meaning what the APC would have stood for after the merger, is no longer what the party is today. It has failed to transmute into an organic platform for instilling party discipline, ensuring party synergy of party programs and the policies with the center and with its national and its subnationals. It has actually lost contact with its own membership, because and what we end up doing is actually a political party that has just become a bureaucratic angle, or the bureaucratic segment, of either the government at the center, the government at the state, the government at the local government levels, where there is any. So this is actually what has become the problem with us. At 10 years, in 2025, that was 10 years of the APC.
Yeah, that was last year.
I would have expected that we would have convened a very large, maybe 1 week of national conference to sit down and look at the journey so far. Where did we miss the bus? What can we do? How far in terms of party programming and the implementation of government policies and programs? How far would party manifesto in terms of synergy between what the center is doing and what the subnationals are doing? How far in terms of the knowledge that party cadres are supposed to have about what their partisan preferences are and what is obtained? All of this never happened. It never happened. Now, take the simple 3 programs that informed our campaign
and victory.
up into the victory in 2015. Restoration of security in the country, fight against corruption, growing the economy. In all of the 3, we have not done any 10 years later.
No, it's a bit of embarrassment, and I always say that on the flip side that, well, we still have another, right now, just roughly less than 2 years to see whether we can change the narrative. 9 months to the election. But I must also ask you that, so the APC, because you are not just an ordinary member of APC, Dr. Abari, besides the fact
At the
that...
moment I am.
Well, I remember, while we were in the villa and the president wanted to do some reconciliation, a lot of party crisis all over the place, you were, or at some point, you worked with the man who is currently the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to try to dissect solutions to the problem. So you're not an ordinary APC member. You work with him. Can you tell us the work that you did at that time, and then compare it to where the party is today? Because now he is at the driving seat. He has
more than a bird's eye view. He has more than a bird's eye view of the problems afflicting the party, especially from 2017, 2018, up until 2019 when we went for the second
time.
election. Do not forget that he and Chebakode and General Buhari, the three of them were the principal drivers of the merger processes. And there was a very big push by the then ACN governors. A very big push by the then ACN governors. You know, whose support, both intellectual, moral, and financial, you know, went into facilitating the merger processes. But after the first term, incidences started to show that there were crises in one chapter or another chapter, and this had to be addressed, and addressed fully without emotions. You know, if we were to go into the 2019 elections, you know, with some relative degree of harmony. And of course, Asuwaju did the rounds around the country.
Along with you?
Yes. Did the rounds, wrote a comprehensive report, submitted to Mr. President with the then president, now late President Buhari of blessed memory.
God bless his soul.
You know, and that was how, in many of the flashpoints, the recommendations that Asuwaju made, because he was a single man committee.
Okay.
He was a single man committee.
Yeah, but
But what I mean by a single man committee, we had the rare privilege of the single man secretariat, so to say.
Okay.
You know, so he did an excellent job, and in many of the flashpoints, not all, but in majority of those flashpoints, the recommendations were adopted, implemented, and it actually lessened the tension, the tenuous circumstances, you know, that would have led us into going into the elections with less harmony. This one. Now, today, we have 31 governors, 31, 32.
31, yeah. Bala Mohammed is going to be the 32nd one.
I'm not sure. I haven't heard about that.
It's just speculation.
Yeah, well, that's speculation.
Yeah.
You know, you will say, therefore, that the APC is home and dry.
Right.
I mean, ideally. But are we home and dry? We certainly are not home and dry.
That's important because, you know, I was going to ask you that too. That the big convention held recently, you know, Friday all the way to Saturday, and I know that you are also, part of it as a very notable member of the chieftain of the party. Where do you think, therefore, the party is now, and in your own view, based on your experience, based on your knowledge of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because you work closely with him, where do you think the party ought to be going? What ought to be happening in the party to address what seems to be that disconnect between what the party was meant to be and what the party has become 10 years in power?
The reason is because the party is no longer run by politicians. The party is no longer run by politicians. The party is just run by cronies. By cronies. And that is what is interestingly and worrisomely.
And the cronies also politicians.
In most cases, there can only be politicians in them. You know?
I wanted to clear that.
Because what I see here is a party that is afraid of its own shadows.
Mm.
When a party doesn't believe in free contest and is afraid of its own internal processes, it gives you worry.
It does.
It gives you cause for worry. And the internal democratic processes of the party are very well defined in the Constitution. Of course, I have no objection to the idea of consensus for everything, what contest. But when there is the need for open contest, please, for goodness sake, open the doors.
For those who want to try.
Open the doors. I want to give you a typical example.
Okay.
I was the one that set up the party structure in Lagos in 2014, 2015. I did the congresses in Lagos. But before then, it was a very big problem. Many people started telling me, no, in Lagos, we don't do things like that. It is consensus. It is this. If you do open primaries and you allow people to go to join the queue or to go and cast their votes, there will be bloodshed. I said no. There will be no bloodshed. No, but we are not used to doing that in Lagos. I said we will do it.
Oh, wow.
Because my mandate is to do registration.
Okay.
When we finish, the second mandate is conduct world congresses, local government congresses, state congresses. But the World Congress is the most fundamental because it's the one that touches
the people
on the grassroots more. And I stood my ground. 2 days to the congresses, I bought newspaper pages and announced all the venues all over Lagos where the congresses will hold.
Wow.
And people, wow, could this be true?
And it did help.
And it happened, and there was no bloodshed.
Look at that.
And the people were the better for it. The party was the better for it. All the party leaders in Lagos were the better for it because every one of them was trying to claim credit for it.
Interesting.
So when you have a political party, take the convention that took place yesterday. The convention is supposed to provide us with a platform.
Yeah.
It's a gathering of party men and women. We do pat each other on the back, we congratulate one another, we do banters, we extend pleasantries and what have you, But because we are not used to organizing party conferences where policies are being digested, where programs are being digested, where the direction of the party actually is being determined. We have had no such conferences. I thought, the convention would have provided us with a ground to have at least, even if tangentially, some deep statements in writing which can be shared to party members to see how far we have gone. But we just ended up with a convention that was just a gathering of party men and the women with no mention of our security challenges, which has become our own reality in the country today. 60% of the population, 60% of the population are below the poverty line. 60%. 141 million as of January 2026.
Incredible. So, will you say the APC convention that shook this city, was it a failure? In your view?
No, it was. The convention was.
Or just a show off?
The convention was to return all wine to new bottles. The National Working Committee members just did tazarche to themselves. You know, I don't know what they call tazarche in English, but tazarche in Hausa means just continue.
Just continue. Basically, a rubber stamp.
Well,
You know.
there was seemingly an election.
So we are having a series of members of the Buhari administration who have got into trouble in this administration because, of course, violation of the law. There is El Rufai, you know, governor of Kaduna State. You know, good thing the president actually sent a condolence to him when his mother died. They released him to go for the burial. Very, very important gesture that we must say, Mr. President, you know, as behave as a human being. But beyond that, there's also Malami, you know, who is also going through quite a bit. And personally, I mean, some of the revelations of the things that happen, you know, I mean, Dr. Abari, I'm just saying that, oh, all of that happened. What's your take about this? Is this political witch hunting, or is it real fight against corruption?
If there are cases, prima facie cases, as the lawyer will say, established against them, and indeed any other person, they must be subjected strictly to the rule of law. And whatever the law says should be what will be the outcome of what they are going through at the moment. But I don't want to say political witch hunting or whatever, because the case or all cases are already in court, and my prayer is that the court will hasten the processes and ensure that justice is done. In what is being said about Malami, if indeed all the sins that have been alleged he committed, you know, have come to be proven correctly, you know, through a very thorough judicial process, then he deserves to be treated. And actually, what will be the outcome? The benefit will be for Nigeria and for Nigerians, and not for any other person.
Yeah, but aren't you embarrassed that all of those allegations happen? You know, I mean, what does that do to the memory of President Buhari, in your view? Because I'm truly troubled, Dr. Abari.
I am.
Well,
I am.
Wow. So all these things we are going on.
I am.
And we sat there. Oh, my God.
I am.
Anyway, you know, let's move along. So, last question. The notion of rotational presidency, in my view, seems to be some kind of national consensus that is stabilizing our polity. 8 years in the north, 8 years in the south. But look at what has happened even in 2023, when PDP sort of violated that and said, no, let's open it up. And then Atiku got the ticket, and then people like Wike were fighting him. They lost the thing. The party seems to have been destroyed now. And then even the seeming opposition now is ADC. And then Atiku still wants to run. You know, I know that you are an APC member, but you're also an intellectual. You know, you're a political scientist. Don't you think that it will serve Nigeria better if we make this rotational presidency something that is sacrosanct for the time being?
They say it is not constitutional, but it has a kind of a stabilizing effect on our nascent democracy. Even though it is not outrightly democratic to confine the emergence of the leader of the country only to a zone, southern zone or northern zone, but given the peculiarity of our situation and the very fluid and the fragile nature of our national unity and even the consolidation of our democratic processes, I have a sense that such a practice, for now, would serve our democracy better because it may eventually lead to the emergence and consolidation of at least a two-party system, or three, as the case may be, and will make the contest keener, tougher, more enthusiastic, more democratic, more participatory. The failure to respect the zoning principle is what has killed the PDP now, which would have been an active, aggressive opposition.
Yeah.
And the loser in this is not the PDP and its members, but Nigeria and its democracy.
I agree.
Nigeria and its democracy.
Because what's the democracy?
Whenever you have a democratic process that does not enjoy robust, constructive, keen competition and criticisms, then the ruling party or the government in power actually goes to bed and it takes the country for granted. So I have a sense that for our reality at the moment, I think the proponents of rotational presidency have developed a far-sighted option for national unity, for national consensus, even if it's not constitutional, even if it is not democratic.
Okay.
But there are instances when you bend backwards just to accommodate certain things that will be for the great good of all,
your country,
than for the limited good of a few.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garba Abari. Thank you for coming to Inside Sources. Thank you for the insights that you share and the frankness of your contributions.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Olaoli.
Thank you so much. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means Nigeria will win, partly because we will push the major issues. Thank you for watching. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.